Welcome to part 2 of our world building project, hopefully the 20-part series. Last time we established some foundations, we established some rules. Now, I don't know how long today is going to be. I have a couple of notes, which I've got on my phone, but I'm going to be doing some brainstorming with you. So I'm going to read out what I've done. It should take maybe a minute, possibly two, and then we'll see where it goes. So I don't know how long the video is going to be, but we'll see. Now, last time we spoke about elves and how they dwelt in darkness, and then light came when the stars began to shine. And there were sea monsters, and there was a war between elves and sea monsters, and ice clad the land, and how there were volcanoes. And from those volcanoes came new land when terrible eruptions occurred. And today I want to begin with this. From the volcanoes, we're going to have dwarves emerging, because elves, dwarves, no dragons. So, dwarves emerging from volcanoes. So they can be the children of magma. Now, if we wanted to tie it in with certain real-world mythologies and take a note from them, we could say that it is from the blood of shed sea monsters mixing with the blood of the elves. And as the blood of the sea monsters and the blood of the elves mixed together and met in magma, the first dwarfs were born. And then the dwarves will, what will they do? They will spill out into the land, and they will fight the remnants of the sea creatures, those which are still in the lakes, in the rivers, maybe not in the deepest oceans, not in the trenches, the deep trenches in the sea, but certainly off the coast, in the lagoons, do we want to have them in atolls? Probably not. Well, we'll save the atolls for another time. But off the coast, in the rivers, in the deltas, in the great rivers, in the lakes. And at the same time, the elves, they can become sky elves, and they will live within the clouds, upon the clouds. And these elves, these light elves, not the elves which dwell in darkness, but the light elves, they can build upon the clouds using magic. And as magic is a natural force, they will weave together clouds into shapes, and they'll build together mighty soaring cities with spires and castle walls. And every so often, rain will fall from these clouds, and this rain will nourish the earth. And over time, with the ice having melted away and the magma cooling, there will be trees. Trees will spring up, trees and grasses and shrubs and mosses, and then there will be flowering. And the dwarves, well, they will like rock, because we're going to keep a few fantasy staples here. So they like to build with rock, they like to build with stone, but we won't have them underground. We're going to have them high up in mountain holds, because even though the volcanoes are dormant and most of them are dead, they like to be close to home. So they will live above the tree line. And within the forests, these primordial forests, primeval primordial forests, there will be great bogs and swamps. There'll also be flowers, and there'll be vines, and we will have treants. And so the blood of the slain monsters, the sea monsters in the rivers, and the swamps, and the lakes, and so on, that will filter into the land. And because the dwarves have killed most of them off, and so now there's only a few sea monsters left in the deeps, other than maybe a few hiding out in different caves, there will be treants. Walking trees, talking trees, animated by the blood of these sea monsters. And so blood is going to be a theme. And within blood, there will be life. And with each passing generation, it will become more and more diluted. So by the time that we get to humans, which we'll get to maybe next session, the blood will not be as strong. And so the life won't be as strong. And so elves and these sea monsters will be the purest form of life. And when I say purest form, I'm talking about in terms of mythology, not in terms of actual purity. But in terms of the strongest, most undiluted blood, they will be the strongest. Now, what effect will this have? Probably nothing. But the elves weave together magic. And they've done this from the beginning. The dark elves will weave together their shadowy cities. And when the stars began to shine, the elves which lived in light, they went up on the clouds in order to be closer to the stars. And they live on clouds and they use magic. And the dwarves, from the blood of the sea monsters and the elves, they too will use magic. And they'll use magic to speak to the earth and tap out great and mighty monuments. Now, let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, that's right. So there will be a myth that the elves of the sky, these sky elves, these cloud elves, will be weaving together clouds and turning them into serpents. And from that, then we will start to see other things emerge. And so those clouds will go across the face of the earth, and they will bring rain, and they will bring mist, and they will bring fog. And the clouds which go down too low, they'll become fog, and then they'll evaporate because the magic dissipates. And these magical clouds which descend to the earth, wherever they touch, some of the magic will be left over because magic is still a natural force. And so it will enchant places. And so some of the forest will be enchanted. But that's going to get a little boring if we leave it like that, because at the moment we've got dwarves, we've got treants, and we've got elves. But we need something else to happen. We need there to be some kind of conflict. And so here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that at some point, the first humans will emerge. And we're not going to say if they're tied to the elves or tied to the dwarves or not. We will simply say that humans emerge. And when they emerge, they will put together a great city. And this can be in the plains, because the dwarves are up in their mountains and the treants are in the forests. But the forest doesn't spread everywhere. And part of this comes down to biomes. And maybe it's just too hot or too cold, or there's just not enough rain for the forest. We'll figure something out. Or maybe it's where the elven magic has touched and the forest just cannot spread there. For whatever reason, we're going to have a human city, a great human city on the plains. And so this city, it can have various districts. And these districts can be walled. And there can be a great outer city wall around this metropolis. And, oh, let's just pick a random number here. Let's say 1 million humans. Let's say that there are 1 million humans in this city. And the reason for this is an extremely fertile plain. There's a lot of pasture. So there's a lot for the livestock. And we can talk about the livestock later. Maybe we'll make them dinosaurs, riding dinosaurs, because that's fun, right? Different riding dinosaurs. But that doesn't really produce much in the way of dairy, unless we make the dinosaurs mammals. But let's not do that for a moment. Let's just hold off on that. And maybe what we'll do is we'll have a lot of jellyfish. Jellyfish which fall from the sky. Now, where do they fall from the sky? They fall from the clouds, because these elven clouds, they go to and fro over the earth, but not just the earth, but the sea. And so maybe there will be blooms of jellyfish, which somehow get trapped in the clouds. Maybe they were brought up into the elven kingdoms. And every so often, when there's a surge of their population, these jellyfish fall. And it so happens that there is a jet stream which goes along the earth. And over the jet stream, there are the elves. And under the jet stream, in this particular place, will be this plain with the city. And where this city is jellyfish will rain seasonally. And so the people of this city, they have built lots and lots of ponds. And so they've cultivated jellyfish. They have lots and lots of jellyfish, lots and lots of kelp and other marsh-like, bog-like plants. And so they eat them. And because they're so many, food is so plentiful, their population expands and explodes. And so maybe it's known as the city of the jellyfish in their language. We can talk about language later. Now, why does it have walls? Well, multiple reasons. Maybe we want to make it a terrace city in order to house the different pools. Maybe it's not about defense at all. Maybe the treants are off way over here and the dwarves are off way over there. And the humans just have these terraces with these pools in for their jellyfish. And it's fantasy, so we can get away with it. And maybe some of the humans have started to spread out, and so there are trade routes. Maybe there are a lot of towns and other smaller cities because the humans want to colonize the plain, as humans are wont to. And maybe their dinosaur herds, they need to have fresh pasture. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And so humanity is spread. And what kind of government shall we have? Why not have an oligarchy? So the elders, the most powerful elders of the city, rule. And maybe they form a council. And maybe there is a head of the council, and he's elected king. Why he? Because we're going to have two brothers. And maybe it's not only males. Maybe there are females as well. So maybe sometimes it's a queen that rules. Maybe sometimes it's a king that rules. And maybe they're just elected by the council. But we're going to have two brothers who are vying for the throne. They're both on the council. They're both powerful oligarchs. And one of them is a demagogue, stirs up the people. The other one stirs up the merchants. And so these two brothers go to war. And maybe it starts off just with a minor spat. But then it expands and it brings in other people. And slowly their rivalry and their tension builds. Maybe they just used to wrestle as children. But now they're adults. It's got worse. And now people are siding with them. And it spirals out of control. And the city is torn in two. This great city, this beacon, this city of the jellyfish. And maybe part of it is one of the brothers doesn't want to use magic. Maybe he mistrusts it because it's a strange and mysterious force. But the other one has glimpsed the sky castles of the elves. And he wants that magic. And so the two have this fundamental disagreement. One saying no magic, the other one saying for magic. And there's a war. And the city is split in two, all the way down the middle. And the plain is split in two because one brother uses magic. But it goes horribly wrong, as these things are wont to. And it splits not just the plains, but it splits the entire continent in two. And at this point, we're going to say that our world is a little like Venus. There are no tectonic plates because the volcanoes formed randomly. There is no ring of fire, so no plate tectonics, which makes it quite difficult. So the seas, they're not going to actually have tides. It's just going to be one tide. And maybe there will be rising greenhouse gases. But that's not a problem for now. That's a problem for much later. But with the splitting of the city, with the splitting of the plain, it creates a continental shelf. And this continental shelf, it cracks and it spreads and it creates the first plate tectonics. And then the ocean floods into this trench. And the two shelves begin to push away. On one side, there are those who want magic, humans, and on the other, there are humans who don't want magic. And so this is the foundation. This is the beginning. And meanwhile, the elves are just doing elf stuff, weaving their clouds and living their best elven lives. And the dwarves are hammering at the rock and being their best dwarven selves. And the treants are just being trees. I know, we'll get to them later. So this is the premise. This is what we've got so far. And that's why I'm going to leave you today. And we'll develop it more later. But I hope this has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope that it sparked some ideas for you. I'm looking forward to next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and do let me know what you think. I'm intrigued. Bye for now.